Hey, film fans. My name is David, and this is, of course, Film Collector Archive. And thank you for everybody that has joined us tonight. I can see we're already getting some chats. I'm, of course, joined here by one of my best friends, not only in the community, but just best buddies, Tony from BasementBlus. Thank you,
Hello.
Tony, for being my co-host tonight.
Yeah, very happy to be here, and got a nice little group of people in the chat room already. So if you're here watching, please be sure to hit that like button for David.
Yes, as we know, as content creators, that like button definitely does help promote our content and is very much appreciated. And yeah, it looks like we've got Quack in the chat. 80s, that's 80s Quack, if I'm not mistaken. TGIF all.
How's it going,
Good
Quack?
evening.
I don't know that I know Quack.
Yeah, yeah, Quack and I have talked a lot on, mostly over Instagram.
So is our audio in the chat? If you can let us know, does our audio sound okay? Can you hear us okay? Hopefully they can hear us, right?
We've got a hello from Nashville. We've got a hello Tony or evening Tony from Quack. So Quack's saying hi to you.
Quack. Holland Notes is here. Holland's always in the chats.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm testing a new mic out here, guys, and so I'm yeah, definitely maybe let us know how the we've already got an audio's okay.
So first of all, congratulations on your 2K subscribers. That's an awesome task to finally to reach, isn't it?
Yeah, first of all, thank you, Tony. Yeah, it's a grind getting to, especially the first 1,000. I feel like it felt like it was never going to end.
Yeah.
The second 1,000 I want to say was maybe a little bit easier, and as you know, as I think it generally goes, but yeah, just very grateful for the audience that I've built up, and just such a great community. I love because you of course have your regular commenters on your videos, and just that community of people is so much fun to interact with.
Yeah, definitely so. That's great. So congratulations on that. Just keep on
Thank you.
pumping out those videos. That's what people want to see.
Yeah, and we've so traditionally I'm an unboxing channel, as you can see from looking at my content. And by the way, if you're new to the channel, definitely go check out some of the content. But yeah, I do a lot of unboxing videos, but I've recently moved into a discussion series or an interview series called In Discussion, and Tony was one of my guests, and then we had the great Nathan Jones as the debut episode on that series. I've got a list a country mile long of people that I'd like to get on that show. So I guess watch your DMs on Instagram, because I might reach out to you.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it so far watching those.
Yeah, it's just great to talk with the community. Again, it's all about the community. There's even not necessarily content creators. I'd like to reach out even beyond that, and just people that comment on videos that clearly have a great hold on cinema and cinema history, and that aren't necessarily content creators that would make for really great episodes. And I've got a few people that really kind of match that criteria that I'd love to speak with. So
yeah, I look forward to seeing who you have on.
Yeah, it's should be really great. So the format tonight is going to be a Q&A, and of course we've got the promised $25 Orbit DVD gift card giveaway that we're going to be doing, and that's going to be given away via that there was a pool of Instagram questions that came through, and the gift card will be we'll have a random selection here in a little bit, and then that person that commented on Instagram, I'll just DM the winner, of course, the Orbit DVD gift card, just a screenshot of the gift card ID number, and then you can go use that on the Orbit DVD website. Their Orbit DVD is a small outfit, kind of a mom and pop almost type shop in Asheville, North Carolina, for those that aren't aware. And they're just incredible. I know, Tony, you and I shop heavily with them. They've become really a crucial part of the collecting community, I think.
Yeah, I could actually use that $25 gift card.
I don't know. You're my co-host, so I'm saying you can't win.
I'll take whatever I can get, though.
Yeah. And then also, speaking of Tony, Tony's been very gracious to contribute some digital movie codes tonight.
Yeah,
So
we got 5 of them if anybody's interested.
yeah, so we got 5 digital codes. I've got some movie trivia that I'm going to be calling out. And then we'll just kind of call it first to answer correctly in the chat. We'll get that code for that given movie. So we've got a few of those. Do we want to? Now I'm trying to decide when we should do the actual gift card giveaway. Maybe we'll start with a question or two from the Instagram questions. Do we want to? Let me just pull this up here, and then Tony, you're going to be my reader, so you're going to read off the questions, but I'll also post them here. So let's go ahead and go with our first question here.
Yep. So David submitted questions on his Instagram page, and so he's got some answers for everybody. But if you also have some questions in the chat, if you'd like to type those out, we can read a few of those also if you like to, David.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. We definitely do want to hit the chat as well, the live chat here.
So Bernie the Geek says, favorite Criterion release? It could be anything. Is it the artwork, packaging, supplements, the film? Yeah, that's my question. Congratulations on the big milestone.
Yeah, so thanks, Bernardo. Yeah, for those that don't know Bernie, maybe he is the Movie Geek Productions. He's got some great YouTube content, so definitely check out his channel. Thank you for the congratulations. Now, as far as the question goes, I'm a big Criterion guy. My answer to this question generally is 12 Angry Men. It's my favorite film in the Criterion collection, and I love the artwork, kind of the visual, the art direction on the release itself is just fantastic. You have kind of some painterly type portraits of all of the jury members on the cover, and that carries through to the booklet, of course. And yeah, great supplemental package to that film. And I kind of Frankensteined that release. I grabbed my release of the Kino Lorber 12 Angry Men remake, I guess we'll call it. And I stuck that disc in there. And funny enough, Kino Lorber is going to be releasing 12 Angry Men on 4K next month, I believe, and they're actually going to be including both films. And so, but there's also the original stage play production on there. So it's just a really stacked release.
So do you plan on getting that 4K release?
Yes, I will definitely be getting that 4K release.
Are you going to sell the Criterion release, or are you going to hold on to that?
I'm going to look at because that film is just so important to me. In a lot of cases, I might give up not that there's really a lesser release here, but give up the Blu-ray release if I get a 4K. But in the case of a film like 12 Angry Men, that's just so paramount to my film journey, my film collection, unless Kino Lorber were to kind of match, kind of hit for hit on the supplements, I will very likely keep both releases in that case.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, but I don't know. That one might be live on the Kino site. I don't know, to kind of review what supplements they have available. But yeah, I don't know if that answers that question. But another release that I wanted to bring up, maybe this is kind of cheating, but there's a kind of a digipack kind of box set. It's 3 films. It's the 3 Fantastic Journeys by Karel Zeman. And that box set or the digipack, you pull that out and it basically acts as like a pop-up book. And it's so creative the way that now Criterion's had a few hits and misses with some of these kind of more creative sets, but in that case, I feel like they really nailed it.
Yeah.
In that pop-up book type style, like I was saying. So that would be kind of my other one in terms of creativity, but just overall favorite Criterion release. I've got to give the nod to Sidney Lumet with 12 Angry Men.
Yeah. Now, Movie Hunter 2020 has a question in the chat wanting to know how long you've been collecting.
Let me see if I can get that up here. Oh boy, how long? Well, I can say this. Tony and I have both been collecting since the VHS days.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I really started collecting. So the first movie that I ever got was in the mid 90s, and I'll never forget it because I was house sitting or taking care of the pets for a next door neighbor directly next door, and they paid me. I was just probably, I don't know, 12 years old. So I watched their house for them and took care of their pets, and then with the money that I got from that, I went and bought a VHS copy of The Goonies.
Oh, okay.
We had this store. I don't know if this is a countrywide store, but called Media Play. And I remember I used to go to Media Play. It was a video, of course, video store.
We had Media Play here too. We loved it.
Oh, okay. So I remember going. It was a clamshell style, VHS tape, and I remember just the feeling of getting that first movie was pretty incredible. The first movie though that I remember where kind of movie collecting came into my mind was 1989. So I'm an 80s and 90s kid. And I remember my dad coming home with a copy of The Little Mermaid from the Disney store.
Oh yeah.
Or so maybe this was 1990 because Little Mermaid was out in theaters in 89. So maybe, yeah, like 1990, but came home with a copy of The Little Mermaid on VHS, and everything else that we had really was taped off of TV. My mom was just religious about taping movies off of TV, which is actually where I first encountered the Goonies.
Yeah.
And just wore that tape out. There were some others on there that were, movies that I just completely wore out watching time and again. But Little Mermaid was one that we actually had a purchased copy of. And I remember another big one was a few years later with Jurassic Park.
Mm-hmm.
And Jurassic Park was probably the biggest kind of pin drop, if you will, in my movie life. That was when I had a firm understanding that there were people, there was, Steven Spielberg, and he was the director, and, and a lot of this, movie making methodology and different things started to really come into play for me on, how did they do that? Oh, that was a really cool shot, or, special effects, or, whatever. And so, yeah, so that was the VHS days. I know I'm getting long-winded here, but
well, do you still have any of those VHS tapes, or whatever happened to those?
no. So VHS were wiped off the face of the earth for all I know. I don't have. I'm sorry to say, a single VHS tape.
Yeah.
And I recorded a lot of stuff off TV too. Like I would go through, Turner Classic Movies would have their Oscars month,
Mm-hmm.
and I would tape movies off of TV. And I had a collection down in my room in the basement. I had probably 700-800 VHS tapes, and stuff. I was taping TV shows. I had every episode of The Twilight Zone, my favorite TV show of all time. Seinfeld, I remember I had every single episode, and you had to track that stuff down like in a TV guide.
Right.
That was a different era, with, if you wanted to watch something, like we didn't even have, like at that point we had nothing even close, at least in my house, like nothing even close to even like TiVo or
Oh yeah.
anything like that. It was like, if you wanted to watch it, you watched it when it was on. And so I would even set my VCR timer to record at a specific time, and then hope that I caught, all of the video that I wanted. And so So that's my very long way of saying I've been collecting since the VHS days, and then it just broke into, you know, DVD, Blu-ray, now 4K. But I've been collecting. I guess that puts me at about 30 years.
Okay. Yeah.
And I know you've been collecting since the VHS days as well.
Oh yeah, it's been a while.
It's been
Well, we got some more good people in the chat. We got Captain Har. He showed up. He says, "Hey David, hey Tony. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope everyone in the chat is doing well as also. So thanks, Captain Har, for being here." Someone had also asked me how many copies of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre do I have in my collection, and I was just counting. I'm thinking with the new 4K release coming out, I'm going to have 10 copies total.
Oh my gosh!
After I get the Steelbook and get the 4K release, but there's also a second side edition coming out, so I think that'll give me 11 copies of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Well, and
you never have enough, right?
Of course, you know, for me, it's going to be that second sight edition.
Yeah.
I am. Yeah, I'm all about second sight. I think that edition coming out is just beautiful, and they've recently just announced Picnic at Hanging Rock as well.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
And yeah, you and I talked briefly about that film, and I'm definitely going to be picking that one up. But yeah, Second Sight is absolutely knocking it out of the park. I don't know, between Second Sight and Indicator, I mean, these titles coming out of the UK are just next level.
Yeah.
Movie Geek Productions is actually here, so he's sorry. I'm sorry if I'm not good at this bringing up the chat. Bernardo says, I still have half of my VHS from my childhood, including E.T. the Extraterrestrial. I will never get rid of that. Is that the that had the green flap on it? The I believe on the actual tape there was the green, you know, there's the flap that you open and then it goes right to the actual film in the tape. There was a green.
I never had ET on VHS.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, he says I never got
remember.
Yeah, and that was the spark of me wanting to become a filmmaker. Yeah, you know, and I grew up really as in the school of, you know, Spielberg and Hitchcock, if I had to kind of pin it down, and then Disney as well. I wanted to be a Disney animator, you know, my whole childhood, and you know, so Disney animation was a big thing for me as well. Bernardo's got the clamshell edition, he said.
Okay, yeah. I still have some of my clamshell editions. I have about a little over 200 VHS tapes still in codes, but I know that ET is not one of those. But I would love to. I wish I would have still had all of mine, but there's no way. To me, there's no way that I could have carried that through my life from the 80s up until now. Just, you know, it's so much to have to kind of go through, especially with having kids that are growing up in the house and things. It was hard enough to protect the things that I already had. But there's a lot of stuff I still have that are still sealed up, which I'm happy to have.
Yeah. One, you know, you and I have talked about this before too. I'm really grateful to be able to have a dedicated space for my collection. You know, I've got kids at home, all of which, I mean, my youngest, it's not like they're crawling around ripping stuff off shelves, but I feel like I'm doing a pretty good job making movie fans out of all of them. But
that's good.
That's what we do a lot, is we like watching movies. And we've got Mr. Ken from Mid-Level Media that's jumped in here.
Hey Ken, how's it going?
And
I think Ken's a pretty big fan of ET also.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always shocked when I come across someone who just does not like ET, and it's happened from time to time. But
yeah, there's definitely some out there.
And then yeah, I'm gonna have to have you be my chat guy. It's a lot of chat to keep up with, which is awesome. Thank you very much, everybody, for the chats coming in.
So Chris C wants to know what your favorite horror movie film is to collect.
So Well, okay, so I'll answer that as so my favorite horror film of all time is The Shining,
You're right.
from 1980, the great Stanley Kubrick. I love the novel by Stephen King. And yes, they're definitely different things, but I have a great appreciation for both the film and the book, for different reasons. But the film to me is something that is just endlessly rewatchable, number one, and number two, I just love the layers that there are. It seems like every time I watch that film, there's something new
Hmm.
that I didn't realize before, something that jumps out at me. And there's actually a really good documentary. In fact, let me pull that over here. So those that haven't seen, so this is room 237. I think you've got the 101 Films copy on that one, Tony. So this is room 237, and I'm sorry if the screens are flipped. It looks like mine is. Yours isn't. I'm not
No,
sure.
yours is fine.
Oh, is it? Okay. Maybe it's
Mhm.
just flipped for me. So
Yeah.
this is room 237. So Tony's got the 101 Films edition, which is out of the UK. This is the IFC Midnight edition.
Yeah,
So
yours
it's
is a DVD.
no, this is a Blu-ray.
Is it? Okay, that's nice.
But it's this kind of keyhole.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of cool. So you have the backdrop there, which is, I think, the cover on yours.
Right.
And then you've got the if watching the film with the can here on the side. Anyways, yeah, I just absolutely adore this documentary. It has some very kind of out there ideas, but it's just wonderful food for thought, and just kind of peels back, I guess, some of those layers of The Shining, and yeah, I mean, I could do a whole video on The Shining. In fact, there was I was lucky enough to be invited onto Robert Bellissimo at the movies, his channel. If you haven't checked out his channel, definitely go do that. Robert Bellissimo at the movies. Robert had me on, and we had about an hour-long discussion on The Shining, just kind of peeling back some of those layers. And yeah, that was a really great discussion. Just my favorite horror film of all time. But then, of course, I could go into, what a huge John Carpenter fan I am.
Yeah.
There's, Halloween and The Thing. And I recently showed my son, my teenager, The Fog about maybe a week ago or so. And that went over well with him. He's a big horror movie fan. And so I figured I've got to start showing him some Carpenter. He has seen The Thing with me as well and really enjoyed that. But
Those are good ones.
But yeah, I mean, Carpenter and Kubrick with The Shining. But that's another thing. I could go off for hours about horror movies.
Well, do you want to get into your next subscriber question?
Yeah, let me pull that up here. All right, whenever you're ready, Tilly.
Yeah. So, who is one of the most frequent movie lovers you watch on YouTube?
Yeah, I was joking around with Tony about this backstage before the show, because I've got my little cheat sheet here. Where do I even possibly begin? There's for sure going to be names that I'm missing on this list, but I've got, of course, BasementBlus sitting with me here. I've got Daisuke Beppu, who's just a Criterion aficionado to end all aficionados. There's a channel called Damn Fool Idealistic Crusader. And he has some great film analysis. His knowledge on film history and of literature, he does a lot of book collecting, is just crazy good. I've got mid-level here with Ken, who's in the chat with us. Aaron Pinn is great with exploitation cinema, Vinegar Syndrome stuff. He's just the best. Robert Bellissimo, who I mentioned earlier. Serial at Midnight, Nathan Jones, Cobwebs, the podcast and YouTube channel with Daniel Epler, Films at Home, of course, with Jeff, Elliot Cohen, 20th and 21st with James, who's another really good friend, film blogger Sam, Cinema Dave, Movie Chatter Steph, Movie Geek Productions, who's in the chat with us, Tim Talks Talkies, who's a good friend of yours and mine, Tony, Nathan Hale, PlatX2, KB Loves Movies, Razor Wire Reviews. He's another guy. Him and film blogger Sam are out of the UK. Chris Moen, and then you've got the Movie Vault. I'm going off the page now. It's like
there's a lot.
There's so many great people in this community, and I'm 100%. I am missing, people on that list, and I apologize if I missed your name, but it just goes to show what a great community we have. So that's a few channels, and I won't repeat myself, but yeah, if you want, go back and watch this later, and then maybe follow that list of names and go look up, because Movies with Ryan, that's another great channel that I follow. Some of these are still popping in my head.
There's a lot of great channels out there.
Such a great community.
Plenty of content to watch.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Well, you mentioned Tim Talks Talkies. He had the next question. Do you want to go ahead and see if you can answer that one?
Yeah, let's pull that up here.
So which classic decade do you enjoy the most overall? 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, or 60s?
Oh, Tim. Yeah,
he likes the old ones.
This is Tim definitely. I mean, it's right in his name. Talkies is obviously referring back to the transition from silent films into what they called talkies. If I had to pick a decade, which of course he's directly asking here, I would have to go with the 1940s. And that is mainly because my middle name almost at this point is film noir.
Yeah.
I definitely watch more film noir than I watch anything else. More than I watch, horror movies or comedies or, any animation, which I'm a huge animation fan. Film noir seems to be the most consistent thing that I watch. And of course, if you go on my, if you don't believe me, go look at my Letterboxd account. I mean, it's just, chock full of film noir. In fact, you should be following Tony and I in Letterboxd. But fcarchive is where I'm at on Letterboxd, but I log regularly on there. In fact, I'm really trying to work on the watch pile, whatever you want to call it. I don't know if I'll be able to keep up this pace this year, but I think right now, just 2023, I'm at 92, 91, 92
wow,
films.
That's good. Yeah.
So I'm really, really cranking through a lot, and film noir is right in the mix on those. I'm trying to get through all the Kino Lorber Dark Side of Cinema sets.
Those are great.
So those are definitely in the mix. But I know you're a one movie a day kind of guy.
Right. But still, with your 90, I haven't reached 90 yet for this year because we've only had January and February. So Chris C mentioned Night of the Hunter. Night of the Hunter is a good one, isn't it?
Night of the Hunter, Robert Mitchum. Man, what a fantastic film.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that one.
That's definitely my favorite Mitchum performance. Up there, I'd put Out of the Past. I'd put, oh boy, I'm trying to think. Cape Fear, probably with Gregory Peck would be up there. I love Robert Mitchum, but there's just nothing really that holds a candle to his performance in Night of the Hunter. If you have not seen Night of the Hunter, it's one of those films I'd say drop everything you're doing and go find a copy of Night of the Hunter. It's that good.
Yeah. Well, it's 9:30. What do you think about doing a trivia question for a digital code?
Yes. See, that's why I'm so grateful to have you here, Tony. You're keeping me, you're going to be my co-host on all these things.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to do that, guys. We're kind of testing this out. This is my first live stream on the channel. So, Tony is a seasoned veteran with this stuff, but I think how we're going to do this, Tony, correct me if I'm wrong, just first person to answer this in the chat with a correct answer, obviously, is going to get the code. So what code are we playing for
Okay.
first?
So first off, is you do know the answer to these questions, right?
Tony, I'm flying by the seat of my pants here, man.
I know what I'm
No,
saying.
yes,
Because I may not know the answer.
yes, I do.
I got 5 codes, so I'm just going to do these codes in alphabetical order. So the first code I have is 8 Mile on 4K, the digital code for 8 Mile.
Okay, so if you're interested in seeing Eminem on film, and Brittany Murphy, right? Yeah,
Right.
Brittany Murphy. Then this one is for you. So 8 Mile on 4K. The first question we have tonight, and Tony, keep your eyes on that chat. What was the last Disney animated film Walt oversaw the production on before his death?
Okay, so while people are thinking about that, we do have James from 20th and 21st Movies here. So it's good to see James in the chat.
Thanks for joining, James. Always good to see you, buddy.
So go ahead and ask that question again.
Okay, so question number 1, what was the last Disney animated film Walt oversaw the production on before his death? And I'll give this kind of clue. He passed away in 1966. He did not see the actual release of this film to theaters, but he oversaw the production leading up to it.
Yeah, and so we have Mark M saying The Jungle Book.
And Mark M is correct.
Good job, Mark M. That's the answer. And that was the answer that I was thinking of also, but I was not 100% sure about that.
Yeah,
so the book was a good one.
Yeah, so Walt oversaw the production. Of course, these animated films take in the ballpark of 3 years to, from beginning to end. So he oversaw production, but the film was not released until 1967. And he passed away in 1966.
Okay. So Mark, if you want to message me on Instagram or message David on Instagram, we can get that code to you. So congratulations.
Yep. So DM us at either BasementBlus or Film Collector Archive on Instagram. Either one of us. If you can, it'd probably be better to do to message Tony in that case because he's got a hold of the actual codes.
Okay. Good job.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll go on to your next question. If you like to go to question number 4.
Okay, and that
Matt H84.
Yep, sorry. Let's go. Matt H.
So what's your most wanted 4K to yet be released?
Yeah, so looking at my cheat sheet here. Okay. So this is on my wish list. I'm a big 80s movie guy. Yes, I love film noir, but I love the 80s as well. And really, if I could pick one, just kind of, one that I haven't heard talked about, whatsoever. There's not even that I'm aware of, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Tony. I don't think there's even a Blu-ray release on this. This has kind of been banished to, kind of stay on DVD forever, it feels like. But that is 1987's Whitewater Summer with Kevin Bacon and Sean Astin.
Yeah, that would be great. I would love to see that.
I would love to see any kind of a release, like Blu-ray. Cool, like let's do Blu-ray. But if there was a 4K release, and I was trying to think if there was a boutique label that picked that one up.
Yeah, I think it sounds like something Kino Lorber might do.
Yep, I could see Kino Lorber doing that for sure.
Yeah.
The other one, because Shout Select, like they put out, The Wizard.
Right.
So it's kind of in that, The Wizard is an 80s movie as well. I was thinking maybe Shout Select, Kino Lorber for sure, or even one of the Kino Lorber kind of, partner labels like Scorpion Releasing or, someone. But yeah, I could see Kino Lorber doing that one.
Or even a retro VHS style slipcover from maybe from Mill Creek Entertainment.
Yeah. The only thing I ever worry about with those releases is they don't do new restorations.
Yeah.
They kind of put out whatever, and that's not a knock on Mill Creek.
But the thing about it is it's new to the format since it's only been on DVD, right? Or VHS.
Yeah. And I don't know what kind of elements. I would hope, there was because that was a Paramount, maybe. Was that Paramount or
For Whitewater Summer?
TriStar? I can't remember.
Yeah.
And I probably should remember because I've seen the movie about 8,000 times. But yeah, I love Whitewater Summer. I don't know if there's any fans in the chat of that movie, but great 80s, kind of summer vacation type movie, even though it's not a vacation. It's kind of a group of boys who go out on a wilderness adventure with their lead, who is Kevin Bacon, and
Yeah,
we'll say things don't go according to plan.
it's a Sony Pictures release.
Sony Pictures.
Yeah,
And I don't know, how Sony is on licensing or, but I mean, even if it was just a studio release, like I would love to see even a 4K digital master, put to Blu-ray, like something along those lines would be just great to see on disc. And sorry, I was gonna say I do have the DVD of Whitewater Summer, but man, it really needs that upgrade.
Yeah, well, at least you got the DVD. That's nice.
Yeah.
We have another question. Question number 5 from Celeste de la Cabra.
There we go.
What's your favorite?
And Celeste is great as well.
What's your favorite VS partner label release of the year so far? If you don't have any yet, what was your favorite from last year?
Okay, so I'm cheating a little bit on this answer, and it's funny because I just got a shipment in today from Vinegar Syndrome, and they had some great new releases from partner labels. And so I have not seen this film yet, but I have seen kind of the film that precedes this. So Deaf Crocodile is one of the partner labels on the Vinegar Syndrome site, and they put out an animated Hungarian film, and they put out the sorry, I was trying to remember the name of the film. I'm put on the spot here. Delta Space Mission.
Mm-hmm.
They put out on Blu-ray, and they just did the I don't think this is a sequel, but it's by the same team, and this is Son of the Stars. And this is kind of a psychedelic 80s animated film. These are super colorful, great techno soundtracks. Really, really intriguing, releases here. So this is from Deaf Crocodile. This is definitely the one that I'm most excited about that I pulled in, and I pulled in a few titles. I'll be putting up a Vinegar Syndrome haul video on the channel sometime shortly. But Celeste, just to answer your question, the Son of the Stars. I haven't seen the film yet. Just got it in a matter of probably 2 hours ago, but I'm just dying to pop this disc in. And I loved Delta Space Mission. Another one that I'll definitely be revisiting. I mean, it'd make kind of a fun back.
So that particular release, were you familiar with it before you saw it on Vinegar Syndrome site?
No. So Delta Space Mission was new to me when they announced that one, and I'm a huge animation fan, and so I picked up Delta Space Mission, and man, it's just, it was such a delight to watch. It's really out there in terms of style and pacing, and so I guess if you're used to maybe watching US animated films, if you grew up on Disney films like I did, or you're not used to experimental animation, which over the years I've tried to push myself out as far as I can with some of this experimental animation, and this just really answers the call on that, with being just really, really cool, just visually, again with the soundtrack, you kind of have that techno 80s type soundtrack. And this is from, I want to say 88, 89, and Delta Space Mission was also from the 80s. So I would say the Son of the Stars. And yeah, as far as this year, for sure, because we're newer into this year, so I don't have a big pool to select from, but that's the one I would go with.
Yeah, now Captain Horror, he's a big fan of Whitewater Summer, so he thinks that was a great choice. And then Chris C says Chris C is a huge animation fan here as well, though a lot of modern stuff doesn't impress me. So what do you think about some of the modern animated films that you've seen?
Yeah, I would agree with that for the most part. I mean, there's in terms of new film versus older movies. I mean, I'm always going to go older, more classic titles, just
Mhm.
personal preference. I think there's fantastic work being done, currently. Um, and I'm a sucker for a good Pixar movie. One of the recent Pixar movies, Turning Red, um I was really really impressed with that movie. I just kind of totally bought in and thought there was just really great character development and fun story.
I know that you and I both enjoy the Warner Archive releases for Hanna-Barbera titles, which I wish
Oh,
we would see more of that.
yeah, huge fan of what Warner Archive has been doing with the Hanna-Barbera animation. We got
Kind of slowed down some, though, it seems.
Yeah, and I'd like to see them pick that back up.
Yeah.
To see, the complete series of Herculoids and Johnny Quest and
Yep.
the Jetsons and this wasn't Warner Archive, but we have the Flintstones on Blu-ray disc now as well.
Yeah.
Um,
Scooby-Doo, where are you?
Scooby-Doo. Yeah, I mean Hanna-Barbera, and I think that's for both of us because you grew up in the
Oh,
70s.
yeah. Hmm.
Hanna-Barbera is like that sweet spot,
Yes,
and
definitely.
so yeah, Warner Archive for sure. But yeah, current animation though, yeah, I mean I think there's good things being done. Yeah, there's a lot of animated movies that I feel like I can easily just kind of skip over. But there's just such a rich history of animation and in terms of cinema that there's enough to kind of pull from for the rest of our lives for
Oh,
sure
yeah,
on
definitely.
the classic stuff. But yeah, there's great movies still being made. Oh, one I will bring up. I was absolutely floored by Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Um, and I know they've got the second film coming out, but
Yes.
man, that I just did not see that coming
Oh,
in
man.
terms of how impressed I would be with that. I mean, just out of my skin watching that movie. I was
Yeah.
so
It was
excited
so
with.
fast-paced. I mean, it was just nonstop.
Oh yeah, the
Yeah.
whole runtime just really fantastic to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the art direction, that team, and so I'm very excited to see what they do with the second film. I'm highly anticipating it.
Feeling Blue 84 has the next question.
Okay, there we go.
Number 6. What's the best thing you've ever bought from Orbit DVD?
Yeah, so I wasn't able to purchase this entire series from Orbit, but I was able to kind of because I had bought direct from Indicator on the first, maybe couple, but getting the remainder of the Columbia Noir
Oh, yeah.
series from Orbit DVD, the Columbia Noir series, and I think this is maybe comes up in a further question if I remember right, a question later down too, but um the Columbia Noir series from Indicator it's that and one other item in my collection that I consider kind of my prized possessions. Um, they are absolutely second to none. The work that they've done, and now they've moved into Universal Noir. We have one box set from the Universal Noir series.
Yeah. Humphrey
Um,
Bogart.
yep, Humphrey Bogart.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Columbia Noir #5 was totally dedicated to Humphrey Bogart, which
Yeah.
was really great to see. I mean, you and I are both big Bogart fans.
Yeah. I wish they would do more in that line, just a focus, but I'm happy with whatever they release.
Yeah, and they're really coming up with some more eclectic releases. Their announcements that they made yesterday,
Hmm.
the Ormond box set, and then the Mexico Macabre. So we have some Mexican horror films coming, and then the Ormond films. That's one that you'll have to kind of look up and read on your own. You can go over to Indicator's site. That box set seems just bonkers, and I'm really looking forward to it because I think it's going to be like Mark over at Orbit DVD was saying. These are the types of films that are just going to absolutely blow your mind. I mean, just weird stuff that they produced, and so I'm all in on that. I like weird movies.
Well, hopefully Mark is not on the floor, laying down on the floor. Hopefully he's got some rest and doesn't collapse on the floor of the Orbit DVD.
Yeah, he. So Mark posted a picture on Instagram the other day. He does the convention circuit, and I guess they had been going, and there was a funny picture that he posted on their Instagram. So of him on the floor. So I guess he was pretty wiped out. But yeah, Indicator, man, love those guys.
Okay, question number 7. This right here is from Ronif1133.
There we go.
Congrats on the 2000. My question: why animated TV show not yet out on Blu-ray or DVD would you choose to finally get a physical release?
Yeah, so I was kind of surprised how easy this was for me to answer. Again, kind of going back to my whole animation thing, I would love to see a complete series run of Dexter's Laboratory on Blu-ray. Would be, I mean, that's like, in terms of childhood TV shows, that's like Mount Rushmore for me.
Really?
I love Gendy Tartakovsky's work. Of course, we already have Samurai Jack on Blu-ray. Otherwise, I'd probably say Samurai Jack, but Samurai Jack, and then we have his new series, and it's escaping me. Primal. He has a new series called Primal, and the first season of that is out on Blu-ray. Second season's coming out in April, I believe.
Okay.
And man, I don't know if you've seen Primal, Tony. It is.
I haven't. I've got it. I haven't seen it.
It is absolutely incredible. Yeah. So Dexter's Lab on Blu-ray would be really a dream come true for me. That was such a huge show growing up. I love the style, just the comedy, just the art direction. Again, that show is just so great. Very different than Primal. Samurai Jack has quite a bit of comedy kind of infused throughout, but it's very much a hero's journey kind of a show with some very deep, kind of contemplative moments, as is Primal. It's got a little bit of comedy here and there, but it's very much, more aimed towards adults, I would say. Yeah. It just gets very violent. But man, the animation, it's just such a great show. But then Dexter's Lab is just, it's definitely family fare, very fun, to watch with the kids or, whoever. But yeah, that I would love to see Dexter's Lab. They only did one season on DVD. And then outside of that is really just bootleg stuff that you'd see come up on eBay or whatever. So unfortunately that hasn't seen Blu-ray. And to be honest, if they released that full series on DVD, I would be ecstatic.
Just whatever you can get.
Yeah, they only did the one season, as far as I know, on DVD. Yeah. And in fact, they did Courage the Cowardly Dog, I know. So that was in the same era. And then Johnny
they did
Bravo.
Ed and Eddie on DVD.
Ed and Eddie. They did Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. So it's all kind of like dancing around, I feel like, Dexter's Lab. And it's like, is there just weird rights issues with that particular show? Because I know that can happen. I don't know if, what's happening, but I guess that would be a, kind of a dream release. And thank you for the congratulations on the 2000 as well.
The Movie Geek was talking in the chat about his first purchase of an imprint title from Orbit DVD, so that's good. Kurosawa film he's been dying to get, so that's nice. That's what I love about Orbit DVD is just the variety of titles that they have. They've got a lot of trade-ins that they get from customers, so there might be some things that will come into their collection that we're able to purchase. So I think that's really great,
including items sent in from me.
Exactly.
and you, I think.
Now, Chris C, for Chris C, they would like to see Mighty Max. Tim, have you ever heard of Mighty Max before?
Okay, so that's not ringing an immediate bell. Mighty Max.
Tim Curry as the villain. Skullmaster is epic. I'm not familiar with Mighty Max either.
I'm sorry to say that does not immediately ring a bell for me.
I'll have to look that one up.
Yeah, no, and I'm sure that that might be one that I look up and go, oh, duh, I remember that show. Yeah, what were some of the shows you watched growing up, Tony?
Well, most of mine are the Hanna-Barbera shows,
Yeah,
of course, Looney Tunes. I would love to see, which I don't think it would ever happen, but I would love to see them continue doing The Simpsons on DVD. You know, it just kind of went cold 10 years ago and
yeah,
hasn't had really any releases recently. But man, that series been going on since the 80s. So I don't
yeah,
know that they'll ever be able to get all of those, but just some of the classic Hanna-Barbera stuff I
yeah,
would love to see.
yeah. That's such a great 70s, 80s, and 90s. There was like a 3-decade run there where like to be a kid was just it was such a fantastic time to be a kid.
Well, let's do another question, and then maybe we'll do a another digital code giveaway. But question
Okay.
number 8 comes from Cobwebs Pod.
Yeah, so that's Daniel Epler from the Cobwebs podcast.
Okay. So, what's your favorite Hammer film? And 2, what's your favorite film to watch when you're exhausted and want to turn your brain off?
Yeah, so Daniel, I don't know if you're watching right now or if you'll be watching this maybe later, but kind of an interesting answer to this, maybe not an expected answer. I really, really love Cash on Demand with Peter Cushing. And that was a part of the Indicator Hammer series that they did, the box sets that they did. I really love Cash on Demand, but if we're kind of going for more of a kind of a proper, what you think of when you think of Hammer films type release, I would have to go The Curse of Frankenstein. And there, of course, you get Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee. So that's a really, really fantastic film if you haven't, seen that one.
Do you have this set?
No, so that's the Mill Creek set.
Yeah, the 20 film set.
Yeah, so there was a lot of crossover from the
Yeah.
releases from Indicator, but that's a great offering from Mill Creek.
Yeah, really affordable too.
Really affordable. If you didn't get your hands on the limited sets, from Indicator, that's a fantastic way to go. But yeah, The Curse of Frankenstein, that actually came out via Warner Archive. So that was, and then Cash on Demand was a part of the Indicator Hammer series. Was Cash on Demand a part of that set?
Let me see.
I don't think I remember seeing that one on that.
Yeah, it's on it.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
It's on the set.
Yeah, Cash on Demand. Yeah, it comes highly recommended. So, Daniel, though, to answer the second part of your question, just kind of a turn off your brain kind of movie for me, that's going to be Napoleon Dynamite. I don't think I could possibly adore that film any more than I do. That's one that I come back to regularly.
Yeah.
Did you have any thoughts on Napoleon?
Oh man, it's hilarious. When we watched it, so my wife and my oldest son watched it for the first time while me and my youngest son were at church camp. So we weren't aware of it until we got back home. And then as soon as we got home from church camp, they said, "You got to go watch this film." We just laughed and laughed and laughed. That was the funniest movie. Just a stupid type film where you didn't really have to think about anything, and we just loved it.
Yeah. And that, if you can believe it, that was next year will be the 20th anniversary of Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah, man.
Which just blows my mind. That was a 2004 release.
Yeah.
I was living in Laguna Beach, California at the time, and remember going with a friend to see the movie. And yeah, that was kind of one of those things where it was like a really specific time and place in my life. And so that's one reason why I hold it in such high regard, is just it brings back such good memories.
Mm-hmm.
But aside from that, I mean, it is so well written. And it's truth be told, this is kind of funny, but I just watched it last night. It's and it still gets laughs out of me every single time.
Yeah, it's good.
It's interesting how movies can do that, because I think of another comedy like that for me might be like Dumb and Dumber. What's Up Doc, to go a little bit more classic. The Odd Couple with Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon.
What always makes me laugh is The Nutty Professor with Eddie Murphy, them around the dinner table is always hilarious.
You know what's funny? I've never seen that movie.
Oh my goodness, it's hilarious.
Yeah, that's one that's evaded me all these years. I might have to
check it out.
I might have to add that to my list. What do they have? Number 2, The Clumps, Nutty Professor 2.
It's just as funny too.
And I remember seeing those, in the video store, and this brings us back. Like I worked in a video store as well. Speaking of good memories, in fact, it was right around that early 2000s time where I worked at a video store. But you'd always have those titles that would come through, and of course there's about 20,000 copies of Speed on VHS, or Titanic, or
yeah, a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, in the video store days. But
Captain Horror's talking about some of the animated films he would like to see: Bobby's World or Eek the Cat.
Yep, Bobby's World was a big one for me. Howie Mandel, of course, did the voice of Bobby. He might have done a couple of voices on that show, but yeah, that was a big that aired on Fox Kids, if I remember right.
Yeah. And then Chris C talks about Gargoyles getting a Blu-ray release. Gargoyles would be another good one for Disney Movie Club or something.
Well, let's go down that road. So Chippendale Rescue Rangers got its Blu-ray release, which, by the way, looks utterly fantastic on Blu-ray. I don't know if anyone else out there has popped in those discs, or if you have that set. I was shocked how good Chippendale Rescue Rangers looks. And I'm like, if this is a sample of what Disney can do, with the elements that they have left for these shows, I'm like, give us Darkwing Duck, give us Tailspin, give us,
we already have some of those. We already have some of the Darkwing Ducks. We already have some of the Tailspins.
Well, I guess I should say on Blu-ray.
On Blu-ray, okay.
Yeah. No, they do have those DVD sets. You're totally right. And they look, they're serviceable on the DVD, but I was blown away by how good the presentation of Chippendale was on Blu-ray.
Yeah, maybe they'll do those for those other titles.
Yeah, and they always kind of test the market with some of these releases, and we haven't heard
all those Disney Afternoon shows.
Yeah, Disney Afternoon. Oh man, we're hitting that nostalgia button for me, but yeah, Disney Afternoon was definitely my jam. Did you want to go to another digital code giveaway?
Sure, we sure can. So I know everybody probably already has this digital code. If you don't, this is your opportunity to snatch it up. This is the 4K code for the Batman. For those that are interested, anybody can participate. So David's going to ask a question. Hopefully he knows the answer. The first person to answer it in the chat will win the code.
All right. So here is the question for the Batman 4K digital code. What was the first Academy Award nomination Tom Hanks received?
So nomination, not win, but nomination.
Nomination. I'll give a little bit of a spoiler here. He did not win for this nomination, but it was his first Academy Award nomination.
Okay. And while people are thinking about that, we've got Steve in the chat saying congratulations on your achievement, David.
Thank you, Steve.
Hollow Note says he references Uncle Rico all the time.
Throw a football over the mountains. Is that what we're saying here?
And the movie geeks talking about Spaceballs always gets me, and Dodgeball. Oh, Spaceballs and Dodgeball.
Okay, Bernardo, Spaceballs is absolutely Mount Rushmore for me of comedies. I watched the Kino Lorber 4K disc probably, I don't know, you can double check me, Bernardo, on Letterboxd if I'm wrong. It was like 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, I watched Spaceballs, but I watched it on that Kino Lorber 4K disc and was just really pleased with how great that transfer looked. And man, that's one. Yeah, that's gotta be top 5 comedies of all time for me.
Chris C has an answer for the question. He's guessing big.
That is correct.
So Chris C wins the digital code for the Batman. So Chris C can reach out to me on Instagram under BasementBlus, and I will send you the code.
Just to expound on that a little bit. So yeah, so that was in for the 1989 Academy Awards. The film came out in 1988. He lost. Do you want to take any kind of guess, or do you want me to spill it?
Go ahead, spill it.
So he lost to Dustin Hoffman, who won that year for Rain Man.
Oh, which was a very well-deserved win.
Very well-deserved win. That's my favorite. Sorry, about Tom Hanks. That's actually my favorite Tom Hanks performance or
really?
role. Yeah, that's another one that my mom had taped off of VHS where I watched that thing over and over and over. And funny enough, that's one that I usually like to have a movie playing when I go to sleep at night. My wife and I do.
Oh, really?
And that's usually, or that's one of the ones that we've hit, many, many times, is having Big playing. Probably more of my choice than hers. I think if it was her, she'd go more like Harry Potter or something like that, but or Back to the Future. She's a big Back to the Future nut.
I've been married 32 years and we've never had a TV in the bedroom. So no TV or anything. Yeah, it's just weird. But it does make sense, falling asleep to watching a movie or something.
I don't know. I could see it going both ways. I think sometimes maybe it does keep me up, but there's just something about the comfort of, I guess, having a movie playing that just kind of and something familiar. Obviously, I don't watch something I've never seen before.
Like The Shining, having it play in the background while you're trying to sleep.
Yeah. Oh, I've done that before.
I'm sure you have.
Oh.
So Ryan's Treasure says, great to see both of you. So hello, Ryan's Treasure.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, Ryan's Treasures. He's a regular in the comments on the channel as well. So awesome to see you here, Ryan.
And then Captain Horror says, this is kind of a deep cut, but High Anxiety by Mel Brooks always had me dying from laughter. It's his favorite Mel Brooks film for sure. Yeah,
and here's I'm going to admit something here. I've got a lot of work to do on the Mel Brooks filmography. I'm not, Spaceballs is, like I said, way, way up there. But man, do I have a long ways to go with his filmography.
Yeah. Steve says that Courage the Cowardly Dog was my favorite from that period because how abstract and dark it was. So it is one of those darker type of animated films, TV series.
Well, and I think back then they were just able to, because like you look over at Nickelodeon, even a little bit before Courage the Cowardly Dog. There we go. Even before that, like with Nickelodeon, you had shows like Ren and Stimpy coming out. Mm-hmm. Even preceding that, you had The Simpsons. I liked that, creators were able to be a little bit more daring, I guess, back in the day. Not that we don't have more adult-facing cartoons now, but
they were reaching out to the adult audience.
Yeah. And it was something so new. And that's why, like, I was a big Disney Channel kid growing up with Disney Afternoon and all that, but Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network were like, or MTV with Beavis and Butthead, stuff like that, was like, it had that edge to it. And yeah, so I love that answer though. Courage the Cowardly Dog being your favorite. Because that whole era, there was just so much going on cartoon wise that was so much fun.
Ryan's Treasures really enjoyed your unboxing of Casablanca on 4K.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I saw your comment on that. Yeah, looking at it over here, really beautiful set. Obviously, one of the greatest films. Arguably, it could be in the conversation for the greatest film ever made. Just Humphrey Bogart at the top of his game, Ingrid Bergman. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to write down Chris C before I forget. Okay. So we have Mark M won the first code. Chris C won the second code. We have 3 more codes to give away. David, when would you like to do the giveaway for the $25 gift card? When do you think would be a good time for that?
Why? The best time is the present, Tony. Let's go ahead and do that.
Okay,
Yeah.
so for all of the people that submitted the questions on David's Instagram page, we have 16 people. So we have 15 entries because I was one of the people that asked the question. So I'm not participating in the giveaway, but this right here will be for the giveaway. I'm going to share my screen. And we're going to do the random wheel.
And I think I need to add it. Okay.
So we have everybody that asked a question is in this list. Should be 15 people. And we're going to go ahead and click on the wheel and see who it selects. Cobweb Pod is the winner of the $25 gift card.
All right, so that's Mr. Daniel Epler. Congratulations, Daniel. I will, you know what? I don't know if he's on this stream. I'm actually going to, if you want to go to chat and see if we have any more questions, sure. I'm going to DM him while I'm thinking about it.
And then while you're thinking about it, Chris C wants to know what your favorite Ridley Scott film is. And I'm going to see if I can think about what mine would be.
Wow. Ridley Scott.
So many good ones.
Well, it comes down to 2 choices for me, and I'm trying to decide which way to go with this. I am going to have to go with Alien.
Oh, are you?
It comes down to Alien and Blade Runner. I'd have to go Alien on this one. But it's like so many good
ones.
Well, it's like splitting hairs with those 2 movies for me. They're honestly equal in my book.
Yeah, I'm thinking American Gangster or Gladiator.
Yep.
Of course, Blade Runner is good also. So yeah, I think out of Blade Runner, Gladiator, and American Gangster, I would probably go with Gladiator.
Man, it's been I don't even know if I want to think how long it's been since I've seen Gladiator. Has that been put to 4K?
Yes, we got a nice steelbook release for it.
Okay, that's one I'm going to need to pick up because, yeah, that I remember being totally floored by that film, and I've maybe seen it once, maybe twice since it was in theaters. So that would be one that I would be, needing to revisit again.
Well, you can go back to another subscriber question, number 9.
I've got the winner, a direct message, and then so Daniel over at the Cobwebs podcast, he'll put that gift card to good use.
Yeah, if he doesn't show up for it, I'll take the gift card.
All right, I got you.
I can put it to good use also, right? I'm just kidding. I would never do that.
For your 30th copy of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Exactly. So question number 9 comes from Phantom Menace.
Oh, sorry. Hang on. Right there.
Have you ever walked out of a movie playing in the theater?
Oh, yeah. So this is an interesting question. Thanks for the great questions, guys, because some of these knocked me back on my heels a little bit. Now, I was racking my brain on this one. I didn't walk out of the theater, but I was ready to walk out of the theater about 18 times watching this film, and that is for Eli Roth's The Green Inferno. I don't do well with cannibal films or films dealing with cannibalism. Yes, I understand that technically that, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, they are cannibals. But there was something about the Green Inferno that had me, I mean,
Mm,
almost throwing up in the theater,
really?
Tony. It was, I am not built for like, I've never seen Cannibal Holocaust. Maybe one of these nights I'll just, go for it. But
Mhm.
man, the Green Inferno, I would not recommend if you're a little queasy.
Well, I was thinking maybe you was going to say something about The Strangers. Did you see The Strangers in the theater? You
I don't remember
remember?
if I don't remember if I saw that in a theater, but I mean, I've seen it several
Yeah,
times.
that was one that I was seeing in the theater, and it was one that, for me, some movies are meant to be watched with a quiet audience, with
Mm.
the suspense and everything. But the audience experience I had was people chatting and talking on their cell phones, and it was a little bit aggravating. So that was one that I
Okay.
almost walked out of, not because of the film, but
Yeah.
because of the audience.
Okay. See, you're asking, I feel like, a very different question. I like the question that you're asking is really interesting as well. Because if we're talking that kind of that perspective, there's about 8,000 movies that I've almost walked out on.
Yeah,
Like, it got to the point,
people don't know how to
like,
go to a movie nowadays and just leave everything behind and just enjoy the
Tony,
film.
okay, pre-pandemic, we're talking like just leading up to the pandemic. I think maybe I might have caused the pandemic because of what I was, my frustration for for not wanting to go to the movies anymore. I told myself I am done going to the theater, and then the pandemic hit, and so I weirdly kind of, I guess, got my, you know put it out there into the universe and made it
Right.
happen. There was a couple, they were sitting on the, I'm trying to remember if it was the same, yeah, it was the same row. So I'm on kind of the exit, to the aisle seat, and they're mid row. And these guys laid out a full picnic in the row, like blanket, like kind of draped up over their seat. They had a full like 7-course meal going on in the freaking aisle, or in the row, on their chairs, and they kind of prop stuff up on the chairs in front of them. I'm going,
Yeah,
I'm
what's up
sorry.
with that?
What are we doing here?
You would
And of
think that
course,
the theater people would have put a stop to that.
you
I mean,
figure you
they freak out if you bring your own soda or your own candy.
yeah,
So
and these guys
somebody
were
bringing a
laying out
picnic.
a full picnic, Tony.
Mm,
And I was so beside myself. And, it got to the point where, you go to like horror movies, for instance, and it seems like that opening weekend attracts all of the dates, and then the, you know, people going out on dates, and then also like the high school crowd.
mhm.
And so I was kind of learning, okay, horror movies, as much as I want to, I can't go opening weekend because I'm going to want to, first
Massacre.
of all, scream in the theater at these people, and then, rush out of there. But um yeah, it got to the point I was like, my blood pressure was just through the roof. I could not stand what I was seeing in theaters. And then, like I said, funny enough, the pandemic hit, and you
Yeah,
know
stop to that.
everything happened. Now, kind of a random question, maybe you don't know the answer. What was the final film you saw before the pandemic hit? Because I know mine.
Oh, man. I go to the theater all the time, so it's really
Yeah.
hard for me to remember what that final film was.
Yeah. So mine was 1917.
Oh, was it? Okay. I saw that in the theater, of course, but I think I saw maybe a couple more after that before the pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
1917, because I want to say it came out.
which I love that movie.
Yeah, it's a great film. I want to say that came out so I saw that in January, and then pandemic basically like officially started, I guess, or whatever. Like, we went on lockdown in March.
Yeah.
So obviously I wasn't at that point going to, again, maybe because of the issues that I was saying, I wasn't going to the theater like on a weekly or even, you know, semi-monthly, you know, kind of rate. But yeah, I remember going to see 1917, and then since the pandemic, and I know we're, you know, 2023 now, but even post-pandemic, I've been to the theater probably a total of like 5 to 7 times.
Mm.
But I'm looking to kind of ramp that up a little bit. I went and saw Avatar with my son. Yeah, and there's not a whole ton that I'm just like dying to go see.
Yeah.
But I could see it ramping up for me, and you know, getting a little bit more regular.
So let's get caught up with some of these chats. Robin Hood Men in Tights. What do you think about Robin Hood Men in Tights?
I think I remember seeing that. Like I said, I'm really bad with his filmography. I think I saw that like on the USA Network back in the day on cable TV, and it's been too long for me to have a comment on it.
Yeah, I actually never saw that one. Ryan's Treasure says, have you heard that there's another Humphrey Bogart film coming to 4K, which is The Maltese Falcon?
I have, and I think
Yes.
Tony's well aware as
Good
well.
news, yes.
Yeah, I'll definitely be picking that up. I know this Warner 100 line that they're
Yes.
doing. I just pulled in. In fact, here's a spoiler for my upcoming my next Orbit DVD haul video. I just pulled in the Training Day 4K Steelbook.
Did you get it already?
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, and one of my favorite films of the 2000s.
That's the UK release.
The UK release, yeah. With the bullet holes in the
Yeah, it looks nice.
Steelbook. And well, what I like the Steelbooks that have a more matte finish to them.
Yeah, me too.
I like, it's okay if it has like some of the spot gloss, which I think this release has some of that going on, but I am an enormous fan of Training Day. Is actually my favorite Denzel performance. I had this conversation with my wife because funny enough, so Denzel's her favorite actor of all time, and she has not seen Training Day.
Oh wow.
And I told her, I'm like, oh, okay, well, we're about to resolve that. We're about to resolve that because man, him and Ethan Hawke.
Yeah, that's great.
You know, probably not. I love Ethan Hawke's performance in that film, but for me, my favorite Ethan Hawke performance goes to the Before trilogy.
Yeah,
with him and Julie Delpy, Richard Linklater. I mean, just a dream team. Those three working together. But man, Training Day, like early 2000s. That brings me back to because I was a junior in high school. I think when that came out, that was 2001. Or maybe I'd even started my senior year of high school, but yeah, that's one. Just such a great, such a great time for those types of movies, and the soundtrack was great, and Antoine Fuqua, man, his direction was just fantastic in that movie.
Yeah. So Movie Geek likes Alien. That's his pick.
His Ridley Scott pick. Yeah.
Chris C likes Gladiator and Legend.
Oh, Legend.
Yeah.
I always forget that Ridley Scott directed Legend. I've got the Arrow Video limited box set here. Man, Legend is great. You've got Tim Curry in there as none other than the devil. And
Movie Geek likes Prometheus.
Yeah.
And Chris C likes Gladiator, his favorite film of all time.
Oh, of all time. Wow.
We have Culture Trini in the chat. Well, just good to see Trini in the chat room.
Yeah.
Chris C says Green Inferno is Roth's best movie to me. Laugh out loud. I have the screen version of that.
Whew, man, good luck to you watching that.
Yes.
And I understand there's like, I'm not the biggest Eli Roth guy. I will say I actually just pulled in. I really like his History of Horror series that he did on AMC, and they've actually just released, or it's been a little bit, but they released the third and final season on that show. So if you're into horror movies, the History of Horror series, Eli Roth's History of Horror is really fantastic.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't call myself an Eli Roth fan. But I can certainly understand because I'm into horror movies, and so I get how people like the kind of gross out or being really scared type stuff. So I
Yeah.
could see that serving a certain audience. I am not the audience for that particular film, but
Chris C said Midsommar was one that pretty much gave them a panic attack.
oh my, yeah, you know
Yeah.
what? Truth be told, I had a panic attack in the theater watching Midsummer.
Yeah.
It was, yeah, we don't need to get into that. There was a particular scene in Midsummer. I had a legit panic attack in the theater.
That's a
And
freaking movie.
if a filmmaker can pull that kind of a response out of me, number one, I really respect that. Yeah, but there was a scene in that film that just it pulled out the worst of me in that theater, and I had to. So actually, I guess that could be kind of my answer, because I allowed myself to go out to the wings of the theater to kind of exit the theater, but I stood there and kind of watched the rest of the film. But I had to allow myself to kind of leave my seat. So maybe that could be my answer.
Yeah. No picnic for you then, right?
No, I wasn't setting up a picnic. I wasn't getting
Yeah.
sick off of, deviled egg sandwiches or anything like that.
The movie geeks agrees about teens nowadays not knowing how to be respectful in the theater, plus the fact that they are deaf and have an implant that he can hear them loud and clear.
Yeah. Well, see, that's a great point right there.
All
Like,
the audio,
be cognizant of, people around you, and that there may be people in different circumstances than yourself. And because I know, like, I grew up going to movies with my dad, who was 80% deaf, and so he had to have that assistance in theaters and stuff like that. And yeah, I totally agree with Bernardo. But people just, I don't know, it's like they check their manners at the door, and it's just kind of, it's like their own living room, I guess.
Yeah, and plus he was mentioning the fact that they use their cell phones to take pictures and sometimes
Yeah.
even record the movie.
Looking down, there's nothing worse than seeing that bright screen
Yeah, I can't
flashing
stand it.
back up towards you. It totally takes you out of the movie. And if it's, there's some movies where I guess you're not necessarily like taken out of it, but there's some films that you go see where it's like it totally takes you out of the experience.
Yeah,
Like maybe going to see something like, A Quiet Place.
right.
I could see, guys, it's in the title, A Quiet Place. Let's have this be A
Keep
Quiet
it
Place.
quiet. That's right. Tim Talkies is here. He I just got back from, I think he saw Cocaine Bear, if I'm not mistaken.
Cocaine Bear. Yeah. Hey, Tim.
Yep.
How's it going, good sir?
Okay, let's go. You want to go ahead and get to another question?
Yeah. Where are we at?
You're number 10 from the Man.
Yep.
77.
There you go.
So my question for the Q&A, what's the biggest surprise from the physical media renaissance we've been having this last few years, specifically boutique labels entering the market?
Yeah. And maybe this is, kind of a too simple of an answer, but it's the quality of boutique labels that we have entering the market. We have quality control issues. I understand is one before someone jumps all over that. I understand that we have quality control issues on discs that we've had to deal with. That's part of the nature of the game that we're in with physical media. Yeah, I think stuff like that needs to be looked into a lot, further than it is. And that's an issue that I feel like should be lessened. It's kind of what we're paying for, if you will, is to have quality releases. But the sheer amount of quality that we have coming from these releases putting together, I'm not only talking about the scans being done from original elements on the, scans of the original 35 millimeter negatives, whatever the sources are that we have available. I'm talking, the mountains and mountains of supplements we have being added to these discs, artwork that's being licensed out, or, where they're commissioning artists, I guess I should say, on doing artwork for these releases. You have interviews, you have booklets, you have any number of things, and even down to the materials for these hard boxes and the the books, just the physical aesthetic of the releases that we're getting. And then on top of that, just the titles that are being licensed out. I feel like we're getting really deep into, some of the collections of, or, deep into the vaults, if you want to say, with some of these studios. And then some films, like, you have to understand, for those that are maybe outside of the physical media world or that aren't used to this type of thing, a lot of these titles that are being licensed out, it's not as simple as putting in, a call to Universal Studios. Some of these films are actually owned by family estates. So these are owned by individuals that need to be contacted, that need to, agree to terms on these different things. And, this is contractual stuff that has to be written up, and it's, it gets to be a very legal process. And so I'm really impressed by the work that these boutique labels have done in going and hunting down the, the licenses that need to be gotten or need to be received to be able to produce these. And then on top of that, producing the quality release that we see on our shelves. It's an enormous process that I don't think we appreciate enough as collectors, is what has to happen to get that on your shelf.
Yeah, it's amazing what they do.
Yeah, so that's what I would say is the biggest surprise for me, is just amount of titles being licensed out, titles we never thought would see a physical release, getting licensed out, and then just the work being done by these teams. I mean, bravo to, Second Sight, to Indicator, here in the US, to, Shout and Scream Factory, to
Lorber has really been releasing a lot of good stuff.
Well, they've got how many releases coming out every month? It's crazy. Criterion, really is kind of the godfather of this whole thing. Criterion, with their releases. I mean, it goes on and on. Vinegar Syndrome is doing, just a masterful job. And all the partner labels that they're bringing in and shining the light on these smaller labels, I think, is really commendable. To the point that Vinegar Syndrome will shut their site down in terms of their releases for a month, allowing the light to be shown on, their partner labels, to get their product out. Like, Vinegar Syndrome really is, they're doing it right.
They're doing a really good job.
So yeah, incredible things being done. We're seeing a shifting market right now, because we go into a Target or a Best Buy and it's like, well, there's no physical media here. I know that's happening in my stores. Target has, I went to Target recently here. There was basically one end cap of movies, and then the rest was books.
Yeah, books are everywhere. They got books everywhere.
So I don't know what the thing with the books is, but like the shrinking physical media, I guess the point that I want to make is we just have a shifting market for physical media. I don't think physical media is dying.
No.
I think the market is shifting to kind of the modality, or the, however you want to say that, just the way that we get that media into our hands. I don't think that it's that media is dying by any means, or physical media is dying. It's just that market is in flux. And if you look at the numbers, so we have the breakdown, we'll say, Blu-ray or DVD, Blu-ray, and 4K. 4K is skyrocketing right now. DVD has the market share. They're still the king of physical media, is the DVD market, or the DVD section. But Blu-ray has always held, pretty steady, but 4K is skyrocketing right now. So I think it's just a shifting market, and just the way that you buy your media is not necessarily brick and mortar. It's online, or it's going to mom and pop shops like Orbit DVD or Diabolic DVD or Grindhouse Video, or, it's just a shifting market.
Well, it is 10:30. Do you think it'd be another good time to do another digital code giveaway?
Yes, sir. I can pull up my trivia.
So this code is going to be for that great film that came out recently called Black Adam. It's the 4K digital code release. I enjoyed Black Adam. It was good for what it was.
I can't comment because I didn't see it.
Yeah. But anyway, anybody that's interested in the 4K code for Black Adam, David's going to ask a question, and the first person to answer it or is interested in it will leave the answer in the chat.
Okay, so we have question number 3 here.
Yes.
What is the opening date and time that comes on screen at the beginning of Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho when the camera is panning across downtown Phoenix, Arizona, which is my neck of the woods, by the way?
Are you freaking kidding me?
Tony, I've had this memorized for years because
Really, I don't even know the answer to this.
I've seen this film so many times. Again, for you out there, what is the opening date and time that comes on screen at the beginning of Psycho when the camera is panning across downtown Phoenix, Arizona?
Okay, we'll see who gets the first answer. While they're doing that, we can talk a little bit about what's in the chat. So the Movie Geek's final film that they saw before lockdown was Onward and The Invisible Man. He saw them both on the same day. So I actually watched both of those on streaming. I didn't actually see those in the theater, but those are two good ones.
Sorry, you said Onward and The Invisible Man?
Yes,
Yeah. I did see. Oh, that was Bernardo, I see.
Yeah.
Oh, before lockdown.
Before lockdown, yeah.
Sorry, I was focused too much on the trivia question.
Ryan's Treasure saw 1917 in the theaters also, which was great.
Yeah.
Chris C saw Countdown. Now, Mark M says, I work in movie publicity, and the last screening we did was Bloodshot. Then The Hunt was also out that week, and I wanted to make sure I saw that before they closed.
Oh, yeah. I remember The Hunt coming out. Yeah, that was one of the big ones right there. Yeah.
And the first movie post-pandemic for Chris C was X, which I do remember seeing that one in the theater afterwards.
You know what? Funny enough, I think that was my first. There was maybe one that I went and saw with the family, with my wife and kids. Was it Raya and the Last Dragon, the Disney?
Yes.
But then I think the first one that I went and saw on my own was X in the theater. So I'm right there with you, Chris.
Mark M says Bloodshot was such a bad audience. People were coughing and trying to get me to throw them out of the theater. It was then when I realized things weren't going to be able to continue.
It feels at some points like they are challenging you, like, do something. What are you going to do?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's not like it used to be, as far as, people coming through, the ushers checking to see if anybody's on their phone or stuff. Tim Talkie says that Maltese should be look really amazing in 4K, which I agree.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm really excited for that release, because we've also got there's some really great classic 4K releases. We've got, are we getting Rebel Without a Cause?
Yeah, we are.
I want to say, yeah. I mean, we got, we've got, Casablanca again that was out recently. I mean, we've got some really, really great work being done on classic Hollywood.
Ryan's Treasure wants to know if you have the Charlie Chaplin archives in your collection of the books.
Oh no, that's from Taschen. I'm well aware of the book. I have not pulled the trigger on the more premium edition, but so right here, directly to my right back here, I have a whole Taschen library, but they do. So like physically, these books, like the book he's talking about, is a wide format. So it's like really wide, about that tall.
Mm-hmm.
And they end up coming out with these like condensed versions. So they're more kind of regular book size and shape, I guess. And so I've gotten that they had like a 40th anniversary, line that they did with a bunch of their titles. So I love Taschen. I don't have that book, but I plan, the second that they come out with, I guess, the condensed version, I plan on jumping on that.
Tim says that boutique labels are killing it. I always love premium releases of stuff, but I'm more so appreciative of all the classics coming to Blu-ray for the first time. Lots of black and white love for the past couple of years, which I agree. really great films being released, black and white films,
Yeah.
and
And again,
4K releases.
well, and again, there, even with the 4K stuff, I've got to look at Kino Lorber. They're doing like I'm just shocked at some of the titles coming from Kino Lorber and just the pace that these titles are coming
Yeah.
from them.
Every month there's something new.
Yeah, but yeah, in fact, I even watched a couple today, a couple Kino Lorber titles today. You know, some good stuff. So,
So
black and white films.
So we have not had any kind of answer to the Black Adam code. So I'm not sure if it's because they don't know the answer or if it's because they don't want the code. So instead of answering for the code, I'm just going to show the code on camera, and anybody's welcome to take the code. How about that? Does that work?
I am totally fine with that.
People are putting in their DVDs and their Blu-rays and their 4K of Psycho, and so here is the code for Black Adam. I don't know if that'll focus. Maybe not.
So, do you want me to give the answer to that trivia?
Sure. And
so
also, sorry to interrupt. If you want to put me on big screen one time, do you know how to do that to where I can show the code full screen?
Yeah. Let me and watch. This is probably going to be me putting me on big screen.
Yeah, there you are. Click on my picture.
Let's see. Oh, click.
Maybe.
No. Man, I am not good at this.
It's okay. There's always a first time.
And
if you can, it's no big. There we go. So maybe someone can see that code.
I can see it, so I imagine you're going to get someone.
So hopefully somebody can enjoy the Black Adam code.
All right, should we get back to Q&A questions?
Sure. This next question comes from this person that calls themselves BasementBlus. I don't know, a weird name. But they are asking, what is your most prized item in your collection?
Yeah, so most prized item, I would say, is my Walt Disney Treasures collection.
That's mine too.
Just because the amount of time that it took for me to locate all of those titles. There's 30 titles in that collection. And yeah, just the amount of time to get those was probably about 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would say the Walt Disney Treasures collection.
Is there any one particular title out of that collection that's your favorite?
Probably the Disneyland USA, or maybe the Mickey Mouse Black and White Volume 1, because of course that has the Steamboat Willie and those different animated shorts. But yeah, the Walt Disney Treasures is it's just a really special collection. I feel like that's Disney, doing a lot of good with their archived materials that it just seems like they're not willing to do with a lot of things, or just don't do with a lot of their, the archive that they have. So it's just great for them to see. And this was the early 2000s. So this has been, some time removed, but yeah, it's the Walt Disney Treasures collection. And if I had to go with a second item, I know I did bring this up earlier, but my Indicator collection of the the film noir box sets has got to be, mentioned in the mix as well.
Captain Horror says, "Rest in peace, Anchor Bay." Anchor Bay, Anchor Bay had some really great titles. There's a lot of Anchor Bay titles I would love to get on DVD that are still available, from eBay or such.
Yeah.
Especially the snapper cases.
Yeah.
And then Steve,
Sorry,
Steve,
I didn't put your question up until I realized I hadn't put it up. But
that's
should I
okay.
go to the next question?
Sure. Let's go to movies with Ryan. What title or release has eluded you due to price or scarcity?
Yeah. So this is the Eureka Buster Keaton limited edition box set. It's the first one that they put out.
Mm-hmm.
So there's been 2 or 3 others, and I've picked those up. But this first box set, it was a lot kind of thicker. It's a white box set, and it has Sherlock Jr., the General, and Steamboat Bill Jr. Now there's a disc that's available from Kino, and I think it's through their partner Cohen Media, if I remember right, or maybe it is a proper Kino disc. But anyways, it has those 3 films. But I would love to have the Eureka limited box set. It kind of looks like one of the big Indicator box sets.
Yeah.
Anyways, I love Buster Keaton. I love silent comedies, and I would love to get my hands on a copy of that. But it's, when it pops up on eBay, it's about $300.
Oh wow. Yeah. So you have the yellowish tan color one, and you have the red one.
Yes, I do. And then they did a big box set of his short films.
Yes.
And then recently they did the Sap Head, which I got that through Orbit. But yeah, that first box set got away from me, and man, I hadn't been collecting Eureka yet, so I wasn't in the game with Eureka at that point. But you can be sure that from then on, I was getting every single one of them, because Buster Keaton, Harold Lloyd, Charlie Chaplin, obviously. I mean, I can't get enough of the silent comedies. And it's funny because you jump from silent comedies to some of the talkies. I feel like it lost some of its charm for me. I like the silent comedies so much, and they take they're top shelf for me, comparatively speaking. So
then when they open their mouth and start talking, it just kind of loses its magic.
Yeah, stop talking. Just show me funny stuff.
Exactly. So this next question comes from Jonathan Danner.
There we go.
What movie would you love to see get a 4K transfer?
Yeah, so I've got a DVD here. So again, this is one that's kind of random. I didn't want to do something that was maybe super obvious, but I would love to see The Snowman get a 4K transfer. I have such incredible love for this film. So this is based on the Raymond Briggs book of the same name, The Snowman, and was a big one for me growing up. And this specifically hits for me. I was in kindergarten and first grade in Oregon, just outside of Portland. And man, one of my biggest memories of living there was seeing the snowman at school, being shown the snowman. The music, the animation, every single time I watch this movie, it brings me to almost sobbing tears.
Yeah. Blu-ray is really hard to come by too.
Yeah, and see, that's what I thought, that there was a Blu-ray at some point. I would love to see this get the treatment of a proper 4K restoration. By the way, this won Best Animated Short at the Academy Awards in 1982. I would love to see this come out in a set that's kind of housed with the book as well. And then, maybe some extra features or interviews or something like that. But The Snowman is an incredibly special film.
Yeah, I gotta get
that. Short film, 25 minutes or so, 27 minutes. And it's one that I come back to regularly, and it just, the film deals with this kind of overarching theme of the loss of innocence. And it just, I'm telling you, Tony, I'm ugly crying by the end of this thing every time I watch it. We just watched it as a family in December, and I'm out here in the front room. I had to excuse myself from the room. It just
Really?
nailed me. And
Yeah.
there's this final image that it pulls away and goes to the final credits, and I'm telling you, it just wrecks me every time. But yeah, a 4K transfer on the Snowman, with the book and some extra feature like that. That's like another one of those kind of dream releases.
Sean's Movies and Family has the next question.
There we go.
What is your rarest movie or TV show? And what's your most expensive out of print movie or TV show? And congratulations on 2K.
Not to be repetitive here, but it's the Walt Disney Treasures. Yeah, the Walt Disney Treasures. It took, like I said, years to track down all 30 of those sets. And I this is kind of a weird collecting quirk of mine, and I know this is weird, so bear with me. I don't buy anything for my collection that is not new factory sealed. It's just the way that I operate as a human being. So I don't go to thrift sales and stores and things like that. So I tracked all of them down, new factory sealed, and that, number one, it cost me more money for sure. And it just cost me more time because I had to track them down new.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's definitely the Disney Treasures. And we're not even gonna. I think you might know. We're not even gonna go into how much I spent on getting all 30 of those.
Yeah, I spent quite a bit on mine too.
In fact, you can see it's right there.
Yeah.
That's the Walt Disney Treasure shelf. And then there's my Leonard Maltin, because Leonard Maltin, of course, worked with Disney on those sets, producing the intros and the outros, and he was really, key in bringing those sets to light. So, or to market. So I've got the Leonard Maltin books up there with the treasure sets, and they all fit nicely on one shelf, which satisfies my OCD, which is really nice.
Let's go to the chat for just a little bit. There's a few more comments that we should read. Steve watched Cocaine Bear today, and it was entertaining to see the kills, but most of the jokes were very stale.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Chrissy has Black Adam on 4K. I really liked the movie. One of the Rock's better roles in a while. And Mark M agrees with me about that question for the Black Adam code was a little bit too much.
All right, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
All right. Well, to redeem myself, should we go with another?
Yeah,
trivia?
let's do another. Yeah, let's definitely do another one. So this next code.
Whoa! I never gave the answer. Okay, like we need to. I need to give the answer to that last question. So it is Friday, December the 11th, 2:43 p.m.
Okay, so everybody remember that for the next time.
Yeah. So next time you get asked that question, I'm telling you that I've seen Psycho so many times that date and time is imprinted on my brain. But what code are we going to give away now?
We're going to give away Black Panther Wakanda Forever 4K code.
Okay.
Anybody that's interested.
Marvel fans, all get ready to type the answer out to this question. In Steven Spielberg's 1971 film Duel, which I'm a huge fan of, main character David Mann is played by which actor?
Okay, so that should be an easy one for people to look up if they need to.
Yeah, that I think I'm soft, kind of underhand pitching that one. That should be pretty easy. Duel is a fascinating film from Steven Spielberg's filmography. Number one, I think it's his most underrated film. And it's interesting because it was he was kind of given the go ahead. He wanted to direct, obviously, and so he started in television. Well, he got his first feature, but it was a made for TV movie, which is Duel, starring ... We'll find out here in a second.
Mm-hmm.
The interesting thing is that it was such a popular TV movie. So it was like the TV, whatever, ABC movie
Yeah,
of the
movie
week
of the week.
type thing. It was so popular, it actually garnered a theatrical release after it was a TV movie, which is that's crazy.
Yeah.
I guess they, studios obviously like to make money, and so they saw that opportunity there. But the fact that it was a TV movie that then got a theatrical release is just not something that you see. And it's written by the great Richard Matheson, one of my favorite writers of all time. He wrote some of the teleplays for the Twilight Zone. And this was actually a short story that he did for Duel that he submitted, and it was actually in Playboy. And then Spielberg was like pointed to that short story, and then ended up being in contact with Matheson, and then they, or maybe Sid Sheinberg or one of those guys at Universal was in contact with Richard Matheson, and then they were obviously able to get it made. But so that was Spielberg's first kind of first film. It was the Sugarland Express was his first feature, direct to theater kind of feature, but Duel really is his first feature film. It was just a made for TV movie that then got the theatrical release.
So your question again is, who was this?
Yeah. So main character David Mann is played by which actor?
Would that actor be Dennis Weaver?
It is Mr. Dennis Weaver. And so Spielberg actually was really impressed with his performances in Orson Welles' Touch of Evil, because of his kind of manic, kind of personality. He's really kind of almost like kind of tweaked out in Touch of Evil. It's a great performance. But then also he was impressed with him from the TV show Gunsmoke, and then brought him on board.
So Mark M is the winner of the code. So Mark, of course, knows how to get in touch with me on Instagram. So congratulations, Mark M, on your answer. And we also have Cinema Dave in the chat. So it's really good to see Cinema Dave here. Congratulating you on your 2K.
Cinema Dave, always good to see Dave. And thanks for stopping by and saying hello. I did bring you up earlier, Dave. I was asked of my most frequent channels that I hit on YouTube, and Cinema Dave Media. Anybody that's not subscribed there, please go and subscribe to Dave's channel.
And Ryan's Treasures really liked your choices for the Disney Treasure set. That's one of their favorite sets also.
Okay, Ryan, I will tell you, getting it for only $700, that is an absolute steal. Okay, sorry. Yeah, because there was a premium collection which was limited to 3,000. You're right. It was kind of a booklet, like a wide format booklet style.
It was missing, I think, 2 titles, right?
I know it wasn't complete in terms of the overall 30 titles. That's a really cool looking set though that Ryan's got, and the $700 price tag. I know there's people thinking maybe that's bonkers. That actually is a good deal for that set.
Yeah, because I think retail we paid probably $35 to $40 mark for 30 releases.
Oh, like when they originally released?
Original retail.
Oh, they were probably $25 a piece.
Yeah.
At Best Buy, I seem to remember that $24.99.
For some reason, I was thinking the $32.99 mark, but and plus finding them with a good 10 was very difficult.
Yeah, and I don't have mine displayed in the tins, but
I don't either.
Yeah. Okay, so we have 2 more questions to get to, and then one more. I know we've been on for almost 2 hours.
Okay. Yep. So question number 15 comes from Technicolor Sam. And if you had the chance to start your own home media label, what would be the first title you would release?
Yeah. So I thought this would be kind of a fun answer, another kind of random 80s title. I would think, as you know, maybe like a Vinegar Syndrome partner label, it would be cool to see again, like a 4K scan, you know, nice release. Doesn't have to be on 4K disc, even just Blu-ray, but of Lucas from 1986.
Oh yeah.
With Corey Haim and Kerry Green and Charlie Sheen. I
And
think would be,
make it affordable for people can actually get it.
yeah. Well, that's one of those cases where the Blu-ray disc came out. It felt like that Blu-ray disc was out on market for like a week.
Yeah, and now it's out of print and goes for like $200-$300.
Yeah, and it's just obviously that's not, you know, approachable by any means. I have it on DVD. You know, it feels like there's probably elements there to do a new scan, or at least on streaming, like we have, like it's available on HBO Max right now, and it's in HD. So I'd like to think, I don't know how they go about getting, I know there's the Blu-ray disc that we alluded to, but to see a new 4K scan on that and like a Vinegar Syndrome like partner label type, that would just be kind of a cool. But again, that's another one I could see with, you know, Kino Lorber, or kind of like we talked about with Whitewater Summer.
Yeah.
But that's just my, like, the question I think was if I, you know, started my own home media label. So that's what I would release first. I would do, you know, a new scan on Lucas and, you know, get that out to all of us 80s movie fans.
And then we have the last question.
There you go.
Comes from Betorfs. Is there a limited edition that's been sold out and that you dream of adding to your collection?
Oh yeah. So my cheat sheet here, I arrowed this back up to question 12 because it's that Eureka
Buster Keaton set.
Buster Keaton set. That's really kind of the set that I'm after in the out of print market. There's not really anything else, and maybe that I guess that's a good thing. I've gotten most of what I want really on my shelf, but I can't find that one. I might have to hire you full time to go track that one down for me, Tony.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that that was a possibility.
I'll hire you full time, so
okay, I can work on that.
We can, you know, if you work for about $1 an hour, you get it figured out in a few hours, you know.
Yeah, expenses.
Yeah.
Well, we do have one more digital code giveaway, and this giveaway is actually for a very recent 4K release for Warm Bodies. So this digital code is for Warm Bodies on 4K. And what question would you have for that one, David?
Yeah, so we're going to go to, now I know this is kind of like the what's your favorite movie of all time question, which there's like 300 answers I could give on that right now. But this is my answer right now for my favorite movie of all time. In what year was 1962's To Kill a Mockingbird officially added to the National Film Registry? So the National Film Registry is a part of the Library of Congress. What year was 1962's To Kill a Mockingbird officially added to the National Film Registry?
Yeah, so David doesn't play around with these questions.
I'm here to play.
Hard-hitting questions, right?
I'm here to play.
Okay.
You got to earn that digital code.
Yeah, so while people are looking this up, we can go back to the chat for just a bit and see what else is out there. Now, Mark M has won 2 codes so far, so I don't know if he'll be the third winner for this one or not. But Ryan's Treasure was saying that I can't pronounce this, but and the Swamp Fox set and Zorro were the ones that were not included.
Okay. El Fago Baca.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
And Zorro were not included in that big set. And those were must-haves for me. I think Zorro was probably one of my favorite releases in that collection. That and the Scarecrow of Romney Marsh was another one. Dr.
Which you and I have on Blu-ray as well.
Yes, we sure
do. From Disney Movie Club. Okay, so Mark is correct.
Mark M's correct again.
It's 1995.
So Mark M is really good with Google, I think.
I think that's what's happening here.
But there's nothing wrong with that.
You got to be quick on the keyboard.
That's right. So Mark M racked up on your live stream this evening, didn't he, David?
I'm here for Mark. I'm here to take care of Mark.
But we really do appreciate Mark M being here.
We do. And yeah, and we're right at the 2-hour mark, so we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. But I just want to say thank you, everybody, for being on this. This is the inaugural live stream here on the channel. Want to say thank you to my co-host here, Tony. You've been an immense help on this live stream, buddy.
Yeah, glad to help.
You kept the chat going. I'm here fumbling all over the place trying to figure out how to work StreamYard. Thank you, everybody who's joined in the chat. Thank you to those who submitted questions on Instagram. Daniel Epler from the Cobwebs podcast is our big winner for the $25 Orbit DVD gift card. And I've messaged him. We're good buddies too, so I'll be sure that he gets that. Movie Geek, good night, my friend. As you guys start filing out of here, thank you so much. Looking forward to 3,000 subscribers, 10,000. I don't know. The sky is the limit, right?
$100 gift card for the 3,000 subscriber.
Yeah, Tony's paying.
No.
No, we'll have to do something for your man. You're going to be at 10,000 before I'm at 3,000, I think.
I don't know about that.
But yeah, no, thank you, everybody. Ryan's Treasures, thank you, buddy. Yeah, Mark, you're very good at trivia for sure.
Yeah, very good. I only had to look up Google one time.
It might be fun to do some kind of we need to have a trivia night in our movie community somehow.
Yeah.
That'd be a lot of fun.
Hug does a good trivia. Hug's Pop Culture Cafe.
Yeah,
trivia. Oh man, it's excellent.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I know of him. I need to look up his channel, look up his content.
Definitely.
So we'll go ahead and wrap it up there. If you have any comments or questions, obviously you can post on this on YouTube, and as always, I'd like to interact with you guys in the comments there. But I've got a new video coming out tomorrow, another unboxed video, and I've got continuing plans for the In Discussion series. As always, from Tony, you can expect more content coming from him, from unboxing or unwrapping videos on steelbooks and all kinds of cool stuff. Is there anything else big that you've got coming up?
I've got some live streams coming up on different channels. And of course, like you said, some steelbook unboxings or unwrappings.
Yeah.
And this was a good night. I really do appreciate you letting me be a part of this celebration.
Oh, always glad to have you, sir. And we'll go ahead and end it there. So thank you so much for joining us, everybody.
See y'all.
We'll see you later.